Episode 3 of Department of Drift, joined as always by DJ Labsha and the man from Drift School WA, Ken Leong. It's great to have you here, man.
Hey, thanks.
It's funny, we haven't had enough episodes and no one knows anything about us. They don't say thanks. Yeah, it's really good to be here because I got no idea how
it's
this
really
is
good to be here. I'm just trying. Couldn't make my way down the last couple of episodes. We just finally got here.
You finally made the 20-minute train ride / car ride here.
Well, let's see how this shapes up. I get a feeling this is going to be pretty interesting. Ken, everybody knows you for Drift School WA, and of course we've seen you in a couple of competitions locally. You've been drifting for how long? When did this all start for you?
16 years ago.
16 years. And how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
29.
29.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's not bad. There are people who haven't been driving that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people aren't even that old yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's gold.
Drift School WA, the title, like the company name, it sounds pretty self-explanatory, but give us a breakdown on exactly what you guys do and when you started.
We started in January 2016, and the idea behind it was to bridge the gap that the general public had to getting into drifting, because previously you would have to obviously get right into it. You have to get a car, which whatever costs $5,000 or whatever. So like just experimenting or just giving it a go wasn't as easy before that. So I thought maybe that's a good way to try and get more people into drifting.
And you guys started out in the Perth Motorplex when you originally started.
Yep, that's right. So we were there for a couple of 4 or 5 months there, and then just somewhat outgrew it. The facilities at Barbagallo ended up becoming a little bit more suitable for us.
And you guys don't necessarily go on the main track. You drift in the infield there behind the big garages.
Yeah.
Everything's water barriers, cones.
Yeah, that's right. And it's the best way. I believe that's the best way to learn. It's the same way that I learned a long time ago, which was a big open area, wet floor.
Yep.
You just want to try and keep it as safe as you can when you're learning to drift.
Because there's not only a mix of there's not only people driving your cars, there's people driving their own cars as well, isn't there?
Yeah, sometimes there are. Most of the time it's with our cars. I think it ends up being easier that way because then they're definitely getting a car that is set up and ready to do the drifting rather than like sometimes if people bring their cars, you just don't know what they bring. They come with open a single spinner. There's no coilovers or it's still an auto. So there's just like a lot of things that it's just like the car itself is just a massive hurdle. And when you want to learn how to drift, you don't really want those hurdles. You just want to make the learning experience as easy as possible. Yeah,
okay. And you've got a real dedicated crew of people on the staff as such, but you've got teachers that you have on board that do a great job. So who are some of those guys?
A lot of the local guys that have been around for a while. A lot of the time with the staff that I have, I guess I've made friends with them, or I see that their driving is good enough to be able to teach, because it's not good for customers to come in and be taught by someone that is just not any better than they are. Kind of name a couple. We've got Alistair Lyons, Luke Riley, Sean Brooks, Liam Gregor, James Gloin, who's quite a well-known in teaching because I think he does training for D1WA and Drift West as well. And quite a lot of other guys like Jamie Worrell, quite a few guys.
You've actually managed to assemble a pretty talented sort of crew around you.
Yeah.
What's the criteria? What do you have to do to sort of become one of these guys?
There's not like I ask for resumes or anything. It's everyone's always welcome to come and be a part of it. I'm open arms all the time with having people come along and trying to contribute, because at the end of the day, I mean, it is a business. But it's also somewhat a community project as well, because I feel like it helps a lot in getting the general public, more people into drifting, and I think that's what we need for the sport to grow. So the whole base of it is about trying to grow drift as well, and at least I can make a living off it, and I love it as well.
Yeah. It's one of those things that like to sort of find something that you love doing and actually have it pay you at the same time. That's the goal.
It's a fine line to tread, but I mean, looking at it from the outside in, it definitely seems like a community of camaraderie with everyone as well. There's a mutual respect between drivers. Being at events that I've attended as, to do passenger rides myself, but with the group of drivers, we help each other as well, which is the community aspect of it where, if someone sees you doing something a bit weird, they'll come up, they'll have a chat to you, say, try this, try that. It's never a judgmental thing. It's always just we're trying to, everyone's trying to improve.
So you've actually taken advantage of the Drift School WA service before. What's it like? So what's the sort of process as a customer? Because I'm assuming that's how you started.
Well, indirectly. So I kind of got lucky. Ken put a post up on Facebook going, I need drivers for a day. And I thought, I'm going to put my name forward. And then, from there, it ended up being that I put my name forward, said this is what I was able to do in the comp in the comp season. And it went from there. Yeah. But then also I've adopted the more advanced stuff with Ken as like with the one-on-one lessons as a driver. Yeah. So I have engaged Drift School as a customer, but also as a support, almost like a support member in a way. So, both avenues, and it's been great.
And as far as the sort of the clientele you get, Ken, I mean, we're talking everything from people who have bought their dad a Father's Day present. Someone's got a Christmas present, like a voucher. You've got blokes and chicks that are trying to test out a new car or looking for some direction on a car.
Yeah, it's so hard to pin down because I've been asked this quite a few times, as in like, what's your
customer base?
Yeah, exactly.
Who comes
so hard to tell because if you come to any drift school, like it's you will see someone very young, you'll see someone super old or senior.
Just to touch on that briefly, there was a 98-year-old that we had going out in a car having a go, like
actually driving.
Like
I remember it, but
I think he had a brief go, and then he ended up as a passenger. So he ended up he pretty much came up to us boys and goes, I want the fastest car here. So we had to go and grab Sean Brooks. So we were like, we need Sean Brooks' car, but his car, as always, his car was getting fixed. But then so send him out in Liam's car, but it was good.
But it's all over the place. It's like it can be it's all ages, both genders. All types of, FIFO worker, normal worker, like just everything.
Nice mug, Deej.
As always, got to touch on the mug.
Nice mug. Demonetized straight away before you even start.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, did you ever struggle at any stage? Because I know that in terms of from the outside looking in, Drift School looks very popular. Was there a time period, like was it in startup? Did you go through a lull or anything?
No, because I've never, anything that I've done with Drift School, I've never spent more than what I could afford.
Right.
So, everything that comes back in is always spent back onto it to try and make it better. But the only time that I can recall it being difficult was when I moved from the Motorplex to Barbagallo. Because it was kind of like a limbo stage where the Motorplex was like unsure whether I could go back. Because they were changing management to Venues West, back to Venues West. And in that time, I was kind of left hanging, waiting whether I should go back there. But after 2 months, it was kind of like I had to just make a decision. And it was a good one anyway, because Barbagallo is just a much bigger environment or better place for drifting.
Yeah, you've got the facilities to sort of take full use of, and it looks like you're doing that down to the ground. So 16 years of drifting experience. So where did it all start for you?
Initial D.
Yeah,
you want to watch that cartoon?
So many people. That's that watershed moment there where it all just sort of clicks.
Yeah, Initial D and Gran Turismo 3 on PlayStation. Initial D was just like, that's where it kind of opened up the drifting part of it for me. And I always liked cars because Dad was a mechanic and working on performance cars and imports and whatnot. So I've always been into cars, but then as soon as I saw drifting back then, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
So I just got straight into it, did all the drifting I could on Gran Turismo.
Yep.
And I felt like that translated quite, like the theory part of it translated very well. Just like kids these days when they play sim sims and like Seto Corsa, like they can jump into a car and they're probably like quite good from the beginning.
Yeah.
A lot better than someone that hasn't had any sim experience anyway. But that's where it all started.
Back then, I can remember that the sim experience was a pretty limited one. It was like Sega Rally whenever you go to time zone, or maybe you'd had like a clunky Logitech G27 or something. Yeah. So you've traveled to Japan. You've made a bit of a habit of traveling to Japan. When did you first head over?
2008.
Yeah. So you'd been sort of drifting. You'd been driving for. How long then?
It takes 16 from 2019. So 2003.
Yeah, so 5 years.
Yeah.
And what was the whole purpose of that initial trip?
Well, like my inspiration has always come from Japanese drifting. So I started off watching Nishi D, of course. And then me and my dad always watched option videos. So video option, Drift Tengoku and all that. So all the things that I learned has always been from watching those videos. So it just made sense because at that time as well, there's no real inspiration here. Like everyone's just in that same pioneering stage in Australia, whether it be here or over east. So there's not really any definitive way of drifting back then. So only inspiration I had was Japan. So it makes sense to just go there and see how it was all done.
It seems to be a common trait with the old option, going back to the option DVDs. It's like anyone that's been in drifting, from 2000 onwards, they've started with option DVDs. I think it's Keiichi Tsuchiya. I can never remember.
Keiichi Tsuchiya.
Always watching him doing the handbrake turns, the J turn, that sort of stuff that ended up in these like DVDs effectively. It seemed to sort of correlate. Then, you start doing the trips to Japan, to Ebisu and all that sort of stuff.
So when did you first go to Ebisu?
2011.
Yeah. And you drove there? You went there to drive?
Yeah, specifically to drive. And I kept going until 2015.
Okay.
I think so, 2015. 2015 and 2016 I stopped.
So all up, if we're trying to do the sums a little earlier, how many Japan trips have you actually made and how many have you driven at?
We can count it if you want. We got 2008 I went once, 2011 I went twice, then 2012 was 3 times, 2013 and 14, 15 3 times each time, 16 I had a break, 17 I started going back to Kansai, which is Meihan and West Japan. And then that's where I'm going now.
Right.
Yeah.
With the intention to drive in a recreational level or at a comp level?
It's self-development. And also for competition as well.
Because all of these tracks you're going to, they've got elevation change on them, haven't they?
Yeah, quite a bit. Meihan not so much, but Ebisu has a big jump.
Yeah.
That's a very famous, Minami is a very famous track that I'm pretty sure every drifter has seen with that Daigo video with a big 4-wheel jump. But that's big elevation track.
The reason I asked that is because with the competition that you and Drift School WA have started up, you've been using Japanese drifting layouts. And I was just wondering how closely that actually translates when you've got a flat piece of tarmac. Yes, you've done everything you can to replicate the actual layout itself, the position of the walls, the initiation points and the apexes and everything else, and curbing and all that. But there's only so much you can sort of do. So how well does that translate across to a flat bit of tarmac?
We're lucky with Meihan because Meihan is flat. Minus like the drop-offs and the curbs and whatnot and the actual massive concrete walls.
All the dangerous bits that make Meihan Meihan.
I was about to say, except for the 6-foot wall that you're like throwing your car in top as fast as you can.
But other than that, actually the feeling is I feel is 99% when I drive it. When I drive the one what we do here and I go back to drive there, it's a small difference, but that feeling, that spirit is still there, I think.
You can definitely see it, having attended an Nishi D day when we get the layout right, you can't wipe the smile off Ken's face. It's hilarious. He just comes back and he's like, I'm gonna go again. It looks like he Energizer Bunny just going around and lap after lap after lap. He's got no tires left. It's actually that's strange.
A pretty good point, I think. How often do you actually get to drive?
Not often. Not for myself. I don't think the last time I drove for myself was in Japan, and that was in November last year. I mean, I drive here at drift school when we're doing some passenger laps, but at the end of the day, it's like it's not your own driving anymore. It's for the priority is the enjoyment for the passenger.
Yeah.
So your little bit of development for yourself is you don't really think about it too much. And then especially with Nishi D as well, when I have to organise it, then I'm not really focused on the driving either, even though I go do it and I have fun. But it's so different to just rocking up to an event, someone else's event, and just thinking about your own driving.
Yeah. Now, talk to me about Nishi D. This is your competition series, for want of a better word. You've had one event, Sukokai, which in Japanese means...
It's practice day, track run. But we're actually not a competition day. We run it primarily as a practice day. It's all about the fun, all the things that make drifting fun for people.
So what's the whole ethos behind that? What are you trying to achieve? What are you offering more than anything?
Just enjoying drifting at its purest form, I think.
Yeah.
No fuss. Drifters are always late with their entries, and there's so many obstacles that stop drifters from doing something. It's like. It can be such a small thing that could stop someone from turning up to an event. So I want to just make something that's completely fun and easy for everyone to attend, and have passengers where you can bring your friends and your family to show them what you do, and still make it into a format where you get lots of driving time. And then we have the mini tournament that's in it as well. It's all the little things just to help with driver development.
Yeah.
The focus is all about driving. That's helping you drive, helping you become a better driver.
Yeah.
And having a fun time while you're doing it.
So you went to that event, didn't you?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it, because I wasn't able to make it there. So what was the story?
It's a lot of fun. Like, a lot of people see it and go, oh, it's a single run. You're doing solo car. But when you actually get down to the nitty-gritty of trying to be technical, and you're getting your bumper like this far from a wall. Yeah. I've reviewed GoPro footage like after every run, and you get closer and closer and closer. It's just when you start nailing that, it's euphoric. You're just like, yes, I'm doing well. Like, I'm getting better. But then, as you progress, you eventually start throwing your friends in the mix. Yeah. That's when and that's the thing that people tend to forget is it's not only a single car thing. Like, there is time where I think it's called the Super Train.
Yeah, so we got a Super Drift Train at the end of the day as well, where every car is out on the track. Yeah. So it's up to you. It's up to you if you want to be part of the chaos. But, some people like it. There's that little thrill. Yeah. But the tournament is run in a solo format, but the rest of the day you're more than welcome to go and practice with your friends, do some tandems or do some team drift, whatever you want. Yeah.
I mean, we did that. I had Michael Jewston was with me. And Liam, we pretty much just buddied up and we ran 3 cars all the time. And just, it's definitely, as Ken was saying, it's definitely a day for a driver to learn not only your car, but your teammate and also where your limits are. Right. Because you push too hard, you go through barriers. You go too slow, you come up too short, you get a mate in your door. Yeah. So it's a real fine balance, but it's, a lot of fun.
Could you actually see people's sort of progression throughout the day?
Yeah.
On that layout?
For sure. Yeah, because there's a certain point where you stand, because if you watch any infield events and you watch from the balcony, unfortunately, it's a great place to stand and it's a convenient place to watch all the drifting, but it's never the actual best viewpoint to see technicality. Right. So, where you stand in that particular layout makes a big difference. So you can see how someone is trying to gain more speed, trying to flick and snap the car harder, getting closer to the wall, coming further out to the other wall. So there's a lot of things on a Mayhan layout that you have to get right all the way from the beginning to make a perfect run.
Yeah, okay. There's so many, you watch, like, touching on the Kansai All-Stars, you watch the YouTube videos that they have of those events, the amount of drivers they've got and then the different variations of how well they do, from guys that are new to, the likes of Naoki Nakamura and that. So basically, just want to get sort of an idea from you on the Kansai All-Star Series. I mean, as you touched on the fact that you're traveling to Japan more for that sort of thing now. Sort of, what's the reasoning behind going to that, and then obviously bringing that to Nishi D? I mean, it's obviously personal driver development, but for, like, say, for yourself.
More so hunting hunting where the best skill is, in my opinion, in the world.
Yeah.
So I'll go wherever that is. And Mayhan and Kansai All-Star Kansai All-Star is just the event, but that whole region, Kansai is it's like a state.
Yep.
So it's
province,
like the WA, yeah.
That's right. So that just tends to have the most aggressive drifters. And that's where Naoki comes from.
Just so you see videos of Naoki doing an entry lifting a front left wheel.
Yeah. But there's there's so many other drivers there as well that are just nearly as good or just as good.
Yeah.
And it's just that attitude there, that spirit that spirit for driving that they have there is just so different to anywhere else in the world, even to other places in Japan.
Yeah.
The culture there is so hard on driving.
Yeah.
And I think I really value that, which is why I started seeking that. I even went there back in, I just said, when I said it went in 2008.
Yeah.
And that was the whole reason, because you just see it on videos and just how crazy that they want to drive.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the type of drifting I like.
Yeah.
So that's why I pursue it.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm gonna show a bit of my naivety here. Now, I commentate drifting, and my ethos has always been to call it how I see it. So, delving a little bit more into the stylistic sort of parts of drifting, everyone talks about Japanese style drifting. You actually hear it in the driver briefings at a lot of events, and there are people who will say that there are times where the judges don't necessarily stick to that Japanese style drifting, or they're not as harsh as they possibly should be on seeing drivers actually emulate that Japanese style. What are we talking about here? What is it that makes the way the Japanese do it so special and worthy of being something that we should be trying to emulate?
I think it boils down to Japanese focus on seeing a driver's pure skill, more so than machine.
Yeah.
I think that's the simplest way to put it. As far as like style, it's more about how fast, speed.
Yeah.
I guess if you compare both of them, maybe Western style drifting is more on like how great your car is.
Yeah.
More so, like not to take away that
it's like a fashion item more so than anything.
Yeah, not to take away that there's no skill in that style. But I think it's more valued with Japanese style.
Yeah.
And seeing a driver really make that car do what he wants. Criteria.
Yeah.
I guess if you want to compare it to sport, like tennis or something, it's is it the racket or is it the guy that's swinging the racket, something like that? Yeah.
Okay, so
makes
like
sense.
there's analogies that have been made that someone like Naoki Nakamura, you could put him in a base model SR powered 180 and with just over 200 horsepower, and he'll drift it as well, if not better, than someone who's got, let's say, a GT 500 Mustang running a Roush supercharged Coyote motor.
I find that there's a lot of myths going the other way as well.
Yeah.
It's much like politics. You got people that are like full onto the power side and believe that power is
king.
but then you got some people that are just so crazy with the underpowered stuff that you just forget that there is a limit. Even someone as good a driver as he still requires a couple of baseline requirements in a car.
There's a recipe for it.
Yeah, I mean you can pull some of those things back, but at the end of the day, if you want him to perform at his 100%, there is still going to be those few things that he requires. So to say that like he will drive a very basic car very well, but there comes a limit where that driver still can't take that certain car against this certain car.
Yeah.
Like people trying to compare a stock SR20 200 horsepower car to a Formula Drift sort of style car is like, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Everything's completely different. It's apples and oranges, I reckon.
Yeah.
The one thing to note with just to touch on Naoki is the fact that you look at his SR in Japan, it doesn't make a lot of power. It doesn't seem to make that much power, or never used to.
It's just whatever's cheapest.
Yeah. And then you look at him in a 1,000 horsepower 2JZ powered S15.
Yep.
He wipes the floor with people.
Yeah.
As he did at World Time Attack. It's just like entry and it's like bye.
Yeah.
Drove away from people because he knows how to make the car go fast. Not necessarily through mechanical advantages, but just in general.
So are we talking a commitment here and on the track? We're talking a commitment to getting the absolute most out of a car that really
that's
sort of
it.
typifies.
Always looking at yourself
Yeah.
rather than what your car's not doing.
Right.
Because there's always so many ways that you can go around a problem. I mean, maybe your alignment might not be right or you might not have enough power, but there's always some way of getting over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually had a personal experience with that, and that happened to be at Driscoll.
Yeah.
Had, doing the big flick layout, car felt weird, said to Ken, jump in, felt it.
Yeah.
Literally did one little entry, comes back and says your alignment's completely out.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, I had more lock going to the right than I did to the left.
Yep.
But I was able to drive past it.
Yeah.
But that's just, it was difficult without a doubt. I mean, it was hard because you're working, the car a lot harder. But yeah, it sort of, touches on the point of getting past that point. You sort of get out of your own head thinking that it's the car and go, well, how do I get past it?
Yeah, right.
And it comes a lot, like, I think a lot of people should experience it as well, is driving an absolute bucket of shit.
Yep.
Because there's just, you don't, even here, the people don't realize how far gone a car can go before it really is like not drivable.
Right.
And there's just so many ways that you can overcome a shit car.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they do it in Japan all the time. I mean, the tin cans at Ebisu.
That's something that I've learned in Ebisu was just, until I went there, I didn't know how far written off a car would be. Here it's like
a bumper's a bit warped, and
all of a sudden people are calling it a missile.
Yeah, that's it. But like here is like something happens and it's like reshell, but it's like the car is just still completely usable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not far gone. There's so many other things, something might be bent or whatever, but like these are all the little things that help you as a driver to develop.
So as someone who's gone to Japan very regularly in recent times, what do you think about places like Ebisu tightening up on there? And I say this in air quotes for those that are just listening to the audio, the drift missiles.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a bit funny because I think a lot of people went there and ruined it. Took the piss a little bit because you can go there and it was very relaxed. Like
Foreigners and Westerners are the ones
kind of like that. And Japan was quite easygoing.
Yeah.
They don't really have many rules, and they're not quite the same as here, where like if something goes wrong, then they instantly put a rule to just ruin it for everyone else. But I think a lot of foreigners went there and took it a bit too far because there was like cars that just have jagged bits hanging out, and shit's just flying everywhere. Fuel tanks that are completely exposed, and just it looks too rough. The original definition of a missile created by Japanese was actually from D1 drivers with D1 gear. And using rough bodies. So it was actually, the cars were still mint. Like they were great, like really good cars.
So the underpinnings of them were great. They had, all the chassis dynamics of something that had been properly R&D'd and had all the best bits and pieces, but aesthetically they didn't necessarily come up to par.
Yeah, that's it. And they never used it to ram anyone, or it was like to get close, and I could get closer, and if I put a wheel on your door or if I touch your car, it's not a big deal, but I'm not trying to purposely ram into your car.
Right.
But that's what a lot of foreigners ended up doing, is purposely trying to wall scrape, bash the rear end in, really hit each other. It ended up being a destruction derby, and then that also scares the locals away because they don't want to drive anywhere near.
Idiots,
because even I had many situations like that where I was just driving on the track and then some random Aussie Australian would be up my ass, even when I haven't organised a battle with them or anything.
Right. So they just they're overly eager and just
because they think that it's like they think it's just completely free reign when they go there and just go wild.
It's funny, this concept of etiquette. And the way you're describing it just makes it sound like it's absolute lawlessness to certain people, but in other people's eyes, like the locals, and for people who, again, might be a little bit more distinguished or something.
Been there a few times.
I'm trying to find the right words for it, but there's definitely a system of etiquette as such, isn't there?
Yeah, so I think it also comes from here having too many rules sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's like,
as soon as you're out of Australia, the rules
they're just
don't count.
It's like going to Bali.
What happens in Bali stays in Bali.
So once they start doing it, they go there and they're like, wow, there's no one going to tell me off, because even when a Japanese sees you doing something wrong, they won't tell you off.
Because they're too polite.
It's just the culture. And then so these guys just take the piss and go start doing really dangerous shit.
And the thing that's difficult is the fact that you got social media that sensationalizes it all. You know, like, look at these mad wall scrapes in the middle of the night, like 12 o'clock.
Yep.
It's like, but then, you know, fast forward an hour when all the Aussies have gone to go party, or the Americans, whatever, they've all gone to go party in the town, and the locals are there, and it's like so graceful and peaceful in comparison. You know, there's no like rowdiness. It's nothing. You know, it's not a party. It's just someone trying to perfect their skill or their art.
Yeah.
You know, and get better at it. It's just
in saying that as well, I don't think there's anything wrong with like making it somewhat of a party. But I think at the end of the day, you just
gotta have boundaries though.
Yeah, you just got to use your brain. Like it's very simple. It's like you wouldn't go out with a car that's got shit flying off it here anywhere. Like, why would you go do it when you've got, you know, when there's clearly quite free to do whatever you like?
Yeah.
Kind of live within the rules that may not even be there type of thing.
So missiles is one thing. The drift school WA cars could barely be termed missiles. They're nothing of the sort.
We try to make them look as good.
Talk to me about the fleet that you've got, because I think at last count we saw about 7 cars. So what have you actually got in the garage?
So we got 3 S13 Sylvias. They all have SR20s. And then we have 2 R33s with RB25s. One's a 4-door. And then we have a LS1 180SX for all the V8 fans. And then we have a newly acquired 350Z as well now.
Okay. Now, out of those, which one gets the most work as far as popular? Like, which one's the most popular?
I think it's really weird because that's what a lot of customers actually ask that as well. They always say like, oh, which one's the best car? And I actually can't answer it because every single group that comes through, every single one of them has a different preference.
Right.
Some of them, your bogans will always love the V8. It's just how it is.
Gotta get me thong on, mate.
Yeah, but I mean that's why it's there.
Kakawini Blues.
That's why it's there. It's just so that everyone.
Shout out to Trevor Durham.
How you doing, Trev?
Hey, Trev.
Rematch one day, I'm sure.
We'll talk about that a little later. So yeah, the LS 180 is a pretty popular with those at the bogan ilk, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
But aside from that,
I'd say overall the R33 is probably the most favoured.
Yep.
Yes.
Because it's got that little bit of extra torque from the start.
GoPro
See you, GoPro. Little bit of extra torque from the beginning. It's got that nice brakes. Yeah, it's got the shoe brake. What is it called? Drum brake.
Yeah, it's a drum rear end. So just to touch on it briefly, S13s have they've got like a disc setup where the actual brake and everything's in the one caliper.
Right.
Where the 33 grabs from inside the disc itself. Yeah. So it locks a lot easier. So you're not having a reef on the handbrake.
You've got a lot more surface area for those brake shoes as opposed to a disc brake setup, which unless you're running something mad like an 8-piston type deal or like a McLaren F1 or something, then
generally just like good pads work fine. But the 33's got the better handbrake. A little bit more torque and also just a longer wheelbase. It just makes it a little bit more forgiving for beginners. But I find that a lot of the guys that end up picking it up and they like the technical aspect of it, they will always say that they like the S13 with the SR20 as well.
Yeah. Perfect balance.
Yeah. Because it makes you drive. Like, you really, I mean, the 33 does. All of them do. But the lower power always makes you have to focus on the steering and the technique part of it, which is what we like to do.
Yeah, okay. Now, the 350 is the one that we didn't really touch on. Now, that's a fairly new acquisition, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you only picked that up a couple of weeks ago?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So it's just moving forward into making it the fleet just a little bit newer.
Yep.
Just to appeal to more different people. Because some customers might look at the older cars, you know, because the S13s are over 20 plus years now, and 33 is not that much newer, really. Yeah. So, you know, having that to entice them to get into drifting, if that's the way to do it, then so be it.
And they're not a bad platform either. I mean, you see them in the States, they're now pretty much used like S13s are. It's a practice car. You know, you got a lot of pro guys that are buying them.
I think
using them in stock form.
One of the interesting things about the S chassis cars of that sort of vintage now is that, of course, being one of the oldest cars that's out there in drifting, they've had the most R&D.
Yes.
There's the most aftermarket parts. Yep. There's the most knowledge on how to set them up and how to actually go. So you've got that good base to start with, not just mechanically, but also as far as intellectually and technologically moving ahead, trying to make a competitive package, because so many competitive packages have already been made out of those. You can just about pop one out of the mold and away you go.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's not a coincidence that why they're so common is because it works.
Yeah. So the 350Z being a new acquisition, being a new Driscoll WA car, what sort of process from picking it up? Where did you purchase it? Where did you find it? Was it a private sale?
Private sale.
Unregoed?
Regoed.
Regoed.
So I had a drive of it the other day and I was like, oh man, this is good.
Bit flash.
What sort of nick was it in? Give us a brief rundown on it.
Yeah. Paid good price for it. It's regoed.
Yep.
Has cooling seats and electrical
Geez, I'd love to have some cooling seats in here. We're still in the height of summer and we're sweating our boxes off.
No, it's awesome car for I'm so surprised because you could pay more for a S13.
Right.
Or a 33 or anything. That's how, and they're affordable.
Yeah.
And it's such a great package. It doesn't have turbo, but it's got so much torque. It's a really good learning car, again, because it's a slightly underpowered compared to a turbo.
Yep.
Has all the bits that you need. Can't really fault it, eh?
So as far as what they came out with factory, what were they? They were a VQ 30.
35, so 3.5 litre V6.
Yep.
Yeah.
With that strong gearbox behind it.
Yep. CW09.
Because that's been one of the big features that a lot of people have gone for. I think is it the SN, has Brendan
Brendan's
got that gearbox behind his VQ?
He's got a VQ as well,
Yeah.
like the actual, he's got the whole thing in there.
Yeah.
So, and he's actually got a snail on the front of it too. So, but
Scotty Tuner's got one in his S14 as well. 1J powered S14.
Yeah.
Running that Nissan gearbox. Yeah, okay.
It's a popular gearbox.
Yeah.
Big chunky thing.
And they handle power like mad. I mean, there's guys running 900 horsepower through them.
Yep.
They just grab gears like a sequential.
Right. Okay. So as far as the use and abuse, you're expecting that to be able to hold up. But what sort of other stuff do you do to a new car that's actually going to find its way onto the Driscoll WA fleet?
I'll be learning, I guess, with the 350Z. I mean, with an S13, it's very simple, as you said before, because it's you just pop it out of the mold almost. But you give all the, we'll talk S13 because I'm still figuring out with 350 what to do with it, because I think apparently the stock suspension's actually quite good. I mean, I tried to drive it the other day and it was seemed to not be too soft.
Yeah. And it wasn't too boaty, I guess.
Yeah, and then I tend to find newer cars, LSDs are probably a little bit tighter compared to a 20-year-old car. So,
well, you'd hope so.
I'm not sure whether we'll need an LSD for that one, but we always make sure that the car doesn't have any little weird things when the customer's driving it. So with an S13, we'd make sure that it has the right coilovers suitable for drifting, because you can go buy coilovers that are not suitable for drifting. There's a lot of old TNs or something.
Yes, it's like TN streets.
Yeah, stuff like that. It's just not good. And then we never use welded diffs or single spinners or even shims. We just make sure it's got a two-way LSD.
Yep, straight out of the box.
That's it. And we'll put a bucket seat in there, a more suitable steering wheel as opposed to the chunky stock ones.
Yep.
It depends, maybe a little bit of bracing here and there, and then your basic mods like an exhaust or an intercooler and whatnot, all the basic stuff.
Yep.
After that, it goes to get painted with your body kit, and then after we put the graphics on and it's ready to go, I think it's in a presentable fashion.
Yeah.
So can you get people off the street essentially? They come
homeless.
in, they contact you through Facebook, they give you a call, they set up a time. Is there anyone that's come through Driscoll WA that has just blown you out of the park, has just really sort of made you sit up and go, yeah, you could do this in competition, you could be a star driver?
Actually, one that comes to mind is this guy called Brett Stewart.
Now, Brett Stewart, now when you say, are we talking Formula Tech Performance, Brett Stewart?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. So Brett runs the very successful Formula Tech Performance, which sponsors Woolpass Wednesdays for Motorplex.
I recognise the name from the Formula Tech Woolpass.
So they handle all your Walkinshaw stuff. They've now started Tickford as well.
Oosh.
And they're doing diesel tuning and stuff like that too. So it's some high end sort of stuff. But he also has a V8 supercar racing background.
Yeah, I think so. A while ago.
He talked to me about that. Did he follow instruction well? Did he just have a good basic?
He was just a great student. He just took on everything on board and he replicated it almost instantly. So we just we got so advanced, just like no other student has really gotten there other than someone that's obviously already drifting.
Yeah.
But for someone that hasn't really done anything in that regard at all.
Yeah.
I was like really surprised. That's definitely the furthest any student has gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He went as far as someone like DJ or,
In a drastically reduced time.
Yeah, in a 3-hour time frame. I mean, a lot of people will come there doing the one-on-one sessions, and they'll be just still trying to figure out the timing.
Yeah.
Of like
Kind of like what happened to me.
Timing of when to clutch and when to handbrake together and all that. And and by the end, they're still kind of like struggling with it.
Yeah.
But he was literally like for that session anyway. I mean, obviously we could have gone further in another session or with longer time, but in that session, he definitely perfected all the things that we threw at him.
Huh.
So that was really cool. Other students, another one that really surprised me was Regan Curtis.
Yep.
He already does drifting.
Yep.
But he was drifting a certain way and showed him a few things, and it was like instantly like that. He was he got it. And I was like, a lot of people have a hard time trying to relearn something, but
me case in point. not going to deny the fact, but I did tell Ken we touched on it a bit earlier. I did the private lesson as like as a customer / student for drift school, and during the lesson, I said to Ken straight up, look, what you're showing me now is only going to click in about 6 months.
Once I've fixed it in my mind, and I've just done it 1,000 times.
It took me 4 months. I'm proud of that one.
Probably has been about 1,000 times.
It was something that Bruce Lee said, fear not the man that practices 10,000 kicks one time. Fear the man who practices one kick 10,000 times.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Something weird, but doing that is you're always going to get your sort of varied learners, I guess, with the likes that come through drift school.
Yes, yeah, yes.
Now, not to throw too broad a blanket over it, but is there one particular stereotype of person that's just impossible to teach, like the guy who's maybe been circuit racing for years, or the P plate learner sort of chick that's maybe like 19 years old or something.
The hardest ones to teach are the people that already like cars.
Yeah.
Right. That think they know it already?
Yeah, something like that. Not the circuit racers are pretty good because they have a sound understanding of how a car behaves and how to be fast and what to do. Sometimes they have a problem with letting the steering wheel go or purposely making a car. That's what they usually say, is that like they're so unfamiliar with purposely making a car go sideways, because usually they want to correct that.
Yeah.
So they always tend to, some of them always have the habit of trying to correct it too much. But the hardest ones to teach are the ones that think they know.
They've done a couple of street
they know drifting already, or done a bit of street drifting in their Commodore.
Which Department of Drift does not condone, by the way, just in case you hadn't already worked that out.
Gnats, please. No, we don't want to see you wrapped around a pole on the news.
That doesn't really surprise me too much. I mean, once you sort of start thinking you know a thing, then that's where you start making most of your mistakes.
With any sport, I suppose, it's like, they just come and they're not willing to come with a fresh, with an open book. It's they come in saying that their way is easier, and it's just hard. But
they're looking for tips more than education.
Yeah, and that's it's a bit weird when if you're coming to a school to learn drifting, then you would think that.
Open your mind up and actually take on.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't come here trying to tell people how you do it. It's and why come at all?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's flip that on its head. Have you tried any other different driving styles? Have you tried circuit racing? Have you tried?
I started off with circuit racing.
Really?
Yeah, in the 86. So that was where it started, and then because I feel like a lot of drifters these days lack that racing skill or.
Car control, effectively.
Yeah, because ask how many people can do heel toe.
Yeah.
Probably not many. So that's something that's also important that you can bring into drifting.
Yeah.
And also being fast and using the right lines, they all translate to drifting.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where you got to start first. You got to learn how to be fast.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And nothing off-road, because I know that rally, everyone sort of would like to make the link with drifting and rally and that sort of thing.
No, just a bit of bush bashing, but it all started drifting. It was like a bit of circuit, but the whole priority has always been drifting.
Yeah. And it's something that you've sort of chased with both hands. Now, Tell me a little bit about your competitive driving. We've seen you compete in, I think, did we see you in D1WA and in the Drift West?
I think I did.
The last couple of years.
Round 2 D1WA last
Yep.
year. I
And
did
round 2 Outlaws as well, I think.
round 2 or 3 of Outlaws, something like that, and a bit here and there.
Let's just come right out of there. We're not necessarily going to say which is better, but what I'd like to hear is some of the contrasts with how drifting in WA works as opposed to drifting in Japan, in the sense of the various sort of styles. Now, we touched on what makes the Japanese style, but what do we value over here in WA as opposed to what the Japanese are really sort of vibing on over there?
A lot more on, actually, I think it's more that the fact that we lack a lot of criteria here.
Right.
When we're talking about a competition sort of format. That makes a massive difference in how a competition should run. So it's hard to say with the way it is now because I don't feel like we have much criteria in all the past competitions. So if that was to come into play, then maybe you would see something more of a mix between the styles of Western and Japanese.
Right.
Yeah.
Depending on who is setting that criteria.
Yeah, okay.
So like more like so you're referring to more of a technicality aspect, you know?
Yeah, it's really,
guessing-
it doesn't matter whether you're looking for more technicality or you're looking for more smoke or certain whatever, but it's really up to a panel of judges that will have a set criteria that they can explain and also
They understand themselves, I guess.
yeah, exactly, and also tell people how to do it because at the end of the day, even though it's a competition, it's also a learning curve for a lot of people and a chance to improve. But if you don't have that criteria, then you don't have any room to improve because what are you trying to look towards?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And also taking into account that unless you are actually tandem battling in the heat of the moment, you don't have any way to really sort of replicate that outside. I mean, yes, you can sort of set up at a drift practice with your mates, but the stakes aren't quite as high.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. I mean, in a practice, you can verse the exact same person in a practice on a fun day and then verse them in comp. I mean, example, me and my like best mate Silvestro with his 32. In, drift school, we practice, it's real casual. Come comp day, I think we both stepped it up like 4 pegs. Right. It brings a different beast in you as in a competitive set. So
yeah, okay.
Really depends up to the driver how they want to set the pace. If you want to make it hardcore in a practice session, then you can do it. But it's I think that's something that a lot of people lack as well is that discipline to go to your friend or someone that you know and go, hey, let's coordinate and actually figure out how to do this battle practice.
Yeah.
Rather than a lot of people going out there and it's like, if I see you out there, I'm just going to try and get on your door.
Yeah. That seems to resonate. That seems to be what I hear the most at the drift tracks.
It seems it's commonplace that.
Yeah.
I mean, an example touching on Ken's point is from what I've seen, looking at you and say Al. I mean, you guys are pretty much driving partners effectively.
Yeah, like if we go out, we go, hey, we're going and hey, like we know what we're going to be doing. So
there's no half measures. I mean, you watch them drive and it's like in comp, they drive the same as if they're in practice. It's epic to watch when you see people doing that kind of commitment. I mean, I'm finding my own foot now with Regan.
Yeah.
So doing that in the same light where when we drive together or when we get a chance to battle, it's like we're battling like there's money on the line. We're getting right up on each other's door. It's it's just exciting to do.
Yeah.
So
I think with drifting, it's also because it's just harder because we have less events, less track time to actually be on there and actually coordinate with other people because your time is valuable when you're on the track. So you just want to get out there and just have fun.
Yep.
Because some people don't want to, regiment it and make it like a discipline where they have to do a certain thing with someone.
Yeah.
But it's definitely harder compared to something like doing football training because football training is like every Thursday you can go out there and you got the drills.
Yeah, you do your drills.
But if you were to put that same discipline into drifting, then your result would be the same. It's still training.
Yeah.
And you will get better that way. Yeah. But it really is just up to the driver at the event to go and make it happen.
And that was one of the other questions that I asked off air is how much of drifting really is muscle memory?
Pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
There's a few things that like as you're learning and you want to try and implement some new skill sets into your driving, then you will consciously think about it and go, hey, I need to pull the handbrake here, or I need to clutch here or something. But other than that, every other aspect of it with, when you transition, you should know how to catch the steering wheel. Or if you want to do a backwards entry, you should know where the car needs to be. So there's a lot of things that you already know, you should know how to do already.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. They say, how much of your drifting is muscle memory, Deej?
I'd say probably all of it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I think about it, I start doing pirouettes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's most of the time, to be honest, from like my own point of view, driving, I don't actually remember being in the car.
Yeah.
Like, being straight up honest, I don't recall focusing on the car in front of me to mimic his line or anything like that. I just see videos and I'm like, that was sick.
It's like training for fighting, hey? Like MMA. It's like there's no way in hell that someone in an MMA ring is going to be conscious about their punches or what, it's all muscle memory. Is like
by the time you stop to think about it, you're already on the floor.
Yeah, that's why they do the drills, which is like duck whenever you get this sort of punch or whatever.
Yeah.
You punch the bag 1,000 times. So it's much the same with drifting, no different.
Touching on what you were saying earlier about the videos, how much do you guys actually lean on using videos and replays and GoPro footage and stuff with the teaching?
Teaching other people?
With teaching other people.
Oh, it depends on what they're doing because there's no point showing someone that's a complete beginner that's still trying to grasp every single thing that you're throwing at them and showing them the video because they themselves don't know what they're looking at.
Right.
But if you've got someone that's a little bit more experienced and you're trying to get a point across as in like, look where you're doing it wrong or this is where you're crossing your hands. Yeah. That's where I think that will become, or that's where it's handy where I've used it before. Yeah. But for myself as well, that would be always looking at in-car videos. Yeah.
So I mean, I find myself doing it.
But I mean, you've got like 7 GoPros and 3 cameras, and
I'm not there yet. I'm getting there.
You just about film a porno in your car.
I don't know. It'd be interesting. I mean, gorillas.
Pornhub. Look us up. No, wait, don't look us up.
Gorillas in the mist around a roll cage.
That wasn't actually a bad one. What the hell?
Gorillas in the mist around a roll cage. I think that'll make for interesting jobs.
Actually, again, let's go way back. You actually at one stage had a pretty popular YouTube channel. You were churning out content every now and then. Admittedly, in your own words, this was like way back. It was before Facebook, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was like probably 10 years ago that
MySpace was still around?
Yeah, set MySpace, top
Add
friends.
me on my MySpace. Yeah.
But I don't know, it was just mainly just to put videos because where else did you upload it to back then? Yeah, so it's just upload it and then
hard drives weren't big enough. Yeah. Use YouTube, free storage. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, and then as the time, I never made it a dedicated channel to do any monetization on.
But I mean, what did you get up to? You cracked like 1,200.
Yeah, 1,200.
And there were like some like 80,000 view videos, something like that.
Some decent numbers in there.
Do you reckon you'd ever bring it back? I know it's a totally different landscape these days trying to put content out there, but do you think you'd ever be interested in bringing it back, or is it a case of you just don't, you're too time poor?
I think I don't drive enough to put any content that's worth watching. Usually when you watch people's, I also don't do much vlogging or any of that. Like if you watch someone like Adam LZ, there's a full story behind it. It's not just driving, not I don't believe many people are interested in just an in-car video or just technical driving. There has to be
a story behind it.
There has to be some sort of journey behind it, and that's what gets you, I believe, gets you subscribers and
without a doubt
all the rest of it. So there has to be something to it, and I don't think I've bothered to ever do that.
Right.
But I mean, would do it, but I don't do enough drifting. I don't to make a story. I don't believe.
How much of your own wrenching do you actually do on the cars?
All of it. Yeah, me and my dad do all the work.
Yep.
We have a couple of our sponsors who help us with other aspects, such as WTF Auto. So we get all our engine tuning done by them. So all our cars are also mapped as well.
Yeah.
So
we have to get in touch with Tristan.
Yes,
preferably before Race Wars.
I'm loving.
And then after Race Wars, we'll get the Race Wars
He's
boys
doing some good videos, eh?
They are hilarious.
Have you watched any of his content on the dyno numbers thing?
Yeah, the hashtag stop comparing dyno sheets.
Oh, it's good.
I pissed myself laughing at everyone he's released so far, he's like, watch this. I'll make this car make 500 horsepower.
Now I'll make it. Now see me make 600. What was the difference?
Yeah.
It was a hot exhaust manifold.
All the drift school cars have 400 horsepower.
They are machines, mate.
Yeah, the gain on the dyno has been set to like 95% increase. Yeah.
You know, like what you used to do with subs back in the day to make it like that bit more bass, just crank the gain and the speaker burns out.
Yeah, you knew it was
Same
going to
thing.
die pretty soon. So, actually, again, we're making some nice segues here, but do you have any power figures from any of the cars?
They're all about 260, 270.
So they're not massive powerhouses.
No.
What's the LS cracking at?
Probably about 300, I think. Yeah.
That's a healthy
That's
size.
a pretty standard LS
Yeah.
figure, right? And that's got no cam.
Yep.
I was about to say, I think it had no cam or anything, so
No
it's
cam.
Yeah, right.
pretty just a remapped LS to
Yeah.
breathe a bit better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
does the job.
But it's best to learn with as little power as possible.
Yeah.
Because it really...
Within reason, though, obviously, but yeah.
Because when you start drifting, you have to get if we're in a low powered car, your steering has to be perfect, your speed has to be right, you need to carry momentum, the line has to be on point.
So coming from Drift West Battle Fest, we saw Viplav sang one out there. Which car was he in? It was the 180.
Yeah,
was the-
RB25D powered.
Yeah,
They're
so
one of the
naturally
NA heroes.
aspirated. Lower power car, but I think down to the ground, everybody was super impressed with his commitment, with his approach into every single corner. There were times there where he just couldn't put down a lead run that was really ever going to, not that gapping is what you should be trying to do, but he didn't really have much room to play with. There were a lot of times where the chase car was so far up him that there was just no room to transition, stuff like that. How do you feel about guys like him and like the brainwashed DC guys doing what they're doing? It's compared to what the rest of the WA guys are doing, it's A, it's refreshing. B, it's very different.
The other end of the spectrum.
I can relate because it's I started off in a non-turbo underpowered 86. So
Just briefly, wasn't there the known in the S's? Wasn't there the 8.6 line?
which one?
There were like-
The 86 liners just go straight through it. Yeah.
So there was actually
Racing line.
because they had no power, they couldn't really
You
drift
can't
the
make
S's.
it, yeah.
So they were just like, it's drive straight.
Yeah.
You won't get penalised, just drive straight.
Oh, but you do get penalised. That's
Yeah,
the problem.
do you?
Back then, it was so annoying because back then the judges wouldn't differentiate.
I always thought it was like, you wouldn't be as heavily deducted like mad.
No, it was frustrating
That
as
was
hell
still
because
cruel.
you'd be going hard out, like revving the shit out of it, trying to get out of cat corner and go straight through it, and then they tell you that you're lacking commitment, and it's that one pissed me off.
I could imagine that would frustrate the hell out of me.
But anyway, like with the guys there with a car that's underpowered, when you got no power, then all you have is commitment. Because what else are you supposed to do? The rear wheels aren't going to do it for you. So you have no other option other than to work the steering. And really charge forward, go later. Because you're obviously a little bit slower than someone else with more power. So your initial entry point is going to be later. So when you're later, that means you're also closer to danger as well because you're going to fly off quicker. So all the things have
all these buffer zones are just getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
That's it.
What is buffer?
Yeah, you're closer to the edge and everything has to be more perfect. Whereas you can fix yourself a lot with more power. But at the end of the day, that's what makes a better driver. Because
there's a certain amount of respect there for someone that's doing it that sort of that's going about it in that kind of way.
Yeah, that's it. And then once they get into a more powerful car, they employ the same techniques of entering later, committing hard. And then that's where you start driving better than the people that started off with lots of
the
power.
early adopters of a V8 and Wisefab.
I mean, you just to touch on Viplav, I mean, there was a bit in the footage I got, in-car footage that I had of Lana where Mitch actually pulled up next to Chris Day and both of them made the comment they would love to see Viplav in a car with a bit more power. They reckon he'd be someone to
Surely
to watch out for.
Surely there's someone out there that can help hook this up.
He's got to. That's the problem.
He's got something coming up anyway.
They've got like relatively well powered cars that they can use. They just don't. They refuse to use them because they want to stay traditional.
It's the hashtag keep drifting fun mentality coming out. You think?
Keep drifting in.
Yeah, it's just to keep learning. It's because there's so much to learn.
Right.
That's what I find a lot of people don't see is that there's so much to learn with a a certain setup before you finally outgrow it. Like it takes a long, long time, longer than what a lot of people think.
Yeah.
As to when you actually outgrow the car that you're driving.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So,
Well, I reckon that just about wraps us up. I mean, Ken, is there anything you want to plug? How do we find you? How do we find Drift School WA?
Just jump on our website or our Facebook, www.driftschoolwa.com. And you know where I am as well. So
Yeah.
you can come find me anytime.
For sure.
But yeah, open arms for anyone that wants to learn or improve their skill set.
don't be shy to message Ken. I've told a heap of you that already. Do not be shy. If you want to learn or, you want a bit of pointers or anything, hit him up.
And what about yourself, D? You got anything coming up?
I think I picked my motor up this week.
Do ya?
So I might have a running car again.
All right, so give us a breakdown on that. Why did you send your motor away, Ditch? What happened?
Let's just say I couldn't keep oil in the sump.
You couldn't keep oil in the sun.
So no, the motor in my car had 197,000 Ks on it when I had it tuned to make 330 horse wheels.
Ow.
Drove it for a year as a road car, so well over 200 clicks, and then drifted it for 2 years.
You never change your spark plugs.
Shut up, I did. What do you mean? These guys got so triggered when they found that I hadn't done spark plugs in a year. It was the best thing ever. My car started missing at a drift school day. Ended up pulling the plugs out, going, I've changed them in a year. I'd have copped it for
There's
a good
no
month.
electrode left. It's like the bottom part of the electrode's just gone.
It's arcing on like the cylinder head where it can.
Far out.
But yeah, it's then ended up at Matsuri with it, and by the end of I think it was the Sunday, about lunchtime, I go out for a lap, come back, and the catch can was full.
Wow.
So tore the motor down, took it to the engine builders. They said the block's mint.
Who'd you take it to?
Harris Engines.
Yep.
So Juiced.
Yep.
And Juiced's done his little sprinkle of,
Magic
tea,
juice and dust.
He just put some tea leaves
Some
over
tea
it.
leaves, waves his hands.
Yeah,
Waves his hands over it.
Yeah, he just did the old salt bay to the tea leaves onto the
Juicing
head.
is tea bay.
He's the tea bay, yeah.
Wow.
So did his magic, and then the block was mint, so had that done, and it's now sitting with hyperdrive.
Nice.
So I should be picking it up soon.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully in time to make Nishi D.
So any go fast bits in there?
Nah. Same car. Literally
Stock motor.
pull the motor out, rebuilt it. It's forged now.
Yep.
But it's going to be identical to what it was before I pulled it out.
So that just basically means that it should be able to handle a bit more.
It should last 10, 15 years plus now. So,
Watch the
same
rebuild,
spark plug
watch
the
the
whole
rebuild
time.
video
Yeah,
next
same-
year when he doesn't change his spark plugs.
Same spark plugs. I'm going to do it just to trigger people. I'm going to actually recycle the ones that I took out of the motor when it died.
Please don't.
Jokes on him.
Please.
No, Andy's probably beaten me to it and has actually ended up chucking a new set in there anyway.
Yeah, good.
So,
No.
What about yourself?
I had a video that I put up. I did a web review for Drift Bunny decals for May West, which is very cool. Now, we spent something like $50 of our own money, and May, being an absolute star, sent us a whole bunch of stuff that we weren't expecting. So that's actually up on by the time this goes out, it's probably going to be over and done with. I'm probably going to close it off in about a week's time. But
there it is.
So yeah, once again, for all those people that might be in the shower listening to this, there is not a psycho stabbing like madman
coming for you.
Yes, but no.
Oh, look
what did we get? We got the 80s baby holographic sticker. We bought that.
Are these the ones that smell?
I don't know. We're not going to open them. We can't open them
There's
up.
one that smells like bubblegum. It's so good.
Just get to the corner.
Ken's just opening up all the Drift Bunny detail stuff. We bought a lanyard. That was pretty cool, and we bought a long sleeve one of her shirts, which was great. Now that on its own was $50, and then being an absolute star, she jumped in and she gave us a whole heap of stuff. So a bunch more stickers. Got a cable ties sticker there. That's cool, and one of her Nabori flags, which is that's like $40 right there.
Yeah.
So that's like another $60 worth of stuff that she's thrown in, and that is all up for grabs. So yeah, that was pretty cool. We're gonna have May and Sinead on together as one of the girls at Drip Bunny
so we'll get them
episodes, I
in.
reckon.
Yeah,
You're gonna
definitely.
fit everyone in here.
We still have room for one more. We still have room for one more.
Just means no one can come in the door.
At all. No,
Kaduk.
can't do it. So Ken, man, thank you so much for coming and being a part of
My
it.
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, really appreciate it. Sort of, we're still a fresh bunch of of dudes doing the podcast thing.
A guy who's been drifting for 2 years and a bloke who's never driven a drift car.
Yeah.
We are so overqualified. What are you talking about?
What do you mean winning a drift car for the first time in forever? When I took you out that day,
I think I've been out in 4 drift cars now. Yeah, 4 drift
and one
cars.
of them's mine.
Yeah.
Yes. Before the motor died.
We'll talk to Ken about some sort of contra deal where we can get me into the driver's seat.
We need to get him down to drift school so we can chuck him in the car with you and he can experience what a backwards entry feels like.
Oh no, I've done that, except we just ended up into Armco. Oh, wow. But that's a story for another time. Thanks for joining us on Department of Drift from DJ, myself, J-Mac, and Ken Leong, our guest for episode number 3. Thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.